Hello everyone. Very good morning and good evening. We will start the session, guys. Just 1 second. Let me share my screen. Sorry, guys, it got disconnected. Okay, let me share my screen again. Okay, fine. In the last session, what we have done, we saw that. So, what is retention period, right? And different table types. Here, when you observe what are the tables we created, by default, what we observed, by default retention period is 1 day, right? Irrespective of the table type, default retention period is 1 day. And minimum retention period, minimum, we can able to give it to 0, that is 0. And then at the same time, maximum retention period, it's up to 90 days. This is only for permanent tables. Remember this, these are your interview questions. These are maximum 90 days. We will use it for permanent tables. Minimum day will be 0. Default will be 1 day retention period. Now, like table types, how it is going to inherited from the higher level, right? The same way, this retention period also it is going to inherit from the higher levels. It means the database retention period will come to our schema. Schema retention period will be come to table. When you create a table, it will get the retention period from the schema level. When you create a schema is going to get the retention from the database level. And at the same time, these objects are individual. Observe clearly here, understand clearly, because this is very important. Here, what you used to tell is, for example, database retention period is 1 day. Let's assume you can go up to 90 days also for permanent tables. If your database retention period is 1 day, your schema retention period also by default 1 day, because it will inherit it from the database level. One schema retention period, you didn't specified anything, it will inherit from the higher level. In the same database, you can specify another schema with 90 days retention period also. In between 0 to 90, it's up to us. You can specify it. Don't think that we cannot go beyond 1 day, because whatever the database level we have given, the complete database, it will be 1 day. But if you come to the schema is 90 days. The same way, let's observe, the schema is 1 day here, right? Schema is 1 day here. Within the schema, if you create a table, if you create a table, by default retention period is 1 day. And at the same time, the table, you can create a retention period in between 0 to 90 days also. This is only for the permanent, it is applicable. The same way, if you create a new schema with 90 days, the table, if you create, by default, what will be the table, default table? 90 days retention period. You can adjust the retention period for another table in the same schema in between 0 to 90 days. It's up to us. The reason behind this is, when you are storing the objects in the backend in Snowflake, when the objects are storing, these objects are going to store individually in the backend with the help of partitions. These are micro partitions concept. When we are discussing about sorry, partitions, we will discuss that in depth. So the reason behind this is storage, how the data is storing in the backend. It will store individually in the form of partitions. There is no relation when it is storing database and schema and then tables. Every object individually it is going to store. Okay, it means if you don't specify any retention period, it will inherit from higher level. If you specify a retention period, then it will follow that object retention period. The same way schema also, if you specify a retention period, then it will individual retention period within the schema. If you don't specify retention period, but it will follow the higher level object, higher level inherit, will inherit from the higher level. Now here, see this, what is the database retention period here? This class database retention period. If you observe, show databases, this is the class database. Now observe, what is the retention period here? 1 day. Now we created schema here, new schema, public schema. What about those schemas retention period? Observe this. By default, it will inherit from higher level, right? See this. This schema retention period also 1 day only. Now I want to create a new schema in the same database with different retention period. That is possible. Observe this one. We are creating schema. I will create my schema. Here, if you want to specify retention period, right? If you don't specify it, it will default inherit from the higher level. If you specify, then it will follow that retention period for that particular object. Now observe this, data underscore retention underscore time in days. This is the command to specify retention period. Now we will specify retention period for example, here 50. Observe this one. sorry, data, spelling mistake, data underscore retention underscore time in days. Observe this. What happened now? New schema is created. Now new schema, where it created under the class database. Class database retention is only 1 day, but this new schema retention is 50 days. Now observe, because of the storage mechanism, how the data is going to store in Snowflake, based on that it is working. Let me show you. Show schemas. Observe my schema. What happened? 50 days retention period. Schema retention period is 50 days. Now if I create any table, now when I create a schema, it's connected to the same schema. See this one? Same schema. Now if I create a table here, create table, my table, I will give ID and number. Observe this. When I use this, what will happen now here? Table is created. Now when the table is created, this table will inherit from the higher level where it created under my schema. The table is created. See this, my table is created. Now check the table retention period here. Sorry, show tables. Now my table, this is the table which you created. Observe the retention period, 50 days, right? Now this is 50 days, right? I want to create a table with my own retention period. If we are not specifying any retention period here, it inherited from the higher level. Now I am creating a table, another table with a new retention period. Observe this. We are creating another table. My table, we will give my table 1, and here we will specify retention period. You can go beyond 50, less than 50 also. Now observe this. We will give 30 days. Observe this one. We are specifying. Now we specified retention period for 30 days. Now it is not inherited from the higher level because it's an individual object. Now this is 30 days. Now observe here. Show schemas. What we observed here. Sorry. Show within the schema tables, right? Show tables. See this. These are the two tables, my table and then my table 1. Observe the retention period now here. See this one. This is a default 50 days. This is 30 days. This one is 50. This one is 30 days. Clear? Now, one question here. Now, if I change this retention period for this particular schema from 50 to 45 days, what will happen to the retention period of the tables within the schema level? Understand the question carefully here. Now, schema, both the tables created under same schema. One table inherited retention period from schema level, another table individual retention period. Now if I change the schema level retention period, if I alter schema level retention period to different days, will it impact both the table or single table? Remember here, which is inherited from higher level, that will have change, which is individual, there is no change for that. Now observe this one. What we will do is alter, sorry, schema set. This is the schema name, retention period from 50 to, what we will do is 45 days. See this one. Now this is 45 days retention period. 45 days we change the retention period of my schema. Now the schema level retention period changed to 45 days. Observe, schema level retention period. What happened? 45 days. Now observe for the tables. What happened here? There is two tables, right? Before we have one is 50, another one is 30. Now let's observe. Sorry. Observe this here. What happened? Which is inherited from schema level previously. There is change for that 50 to 45 days. This one. And then this one, there is no change because of this is inherited from. So it is not inherited from the higher level. It is individual object, right? That's the reason. So why it is not changed. Clear? Okay. That's the concept of this retention period here. Now, if you want to go beyond the 90 days retention period, for example, observe this. If I give, we are creating a table, retention period 91 days. Observe what will happen. It will not work. It will not allow more than 90 days, right? Only 90 days is the retention period. And at the same time, if you do it for the transient table, what is the maximum retention period? 1 day, right? See this, create transient table. I will give CN table, retention period, I will try to give 2 days. Observe what will happen. See this, what it is telling. Invalid value, because transient table retention period will be only 1 day. Now I wanted to set this to 0 days. Observe this one. What happened now? Yes, this is set to 0 days. There is no retention applicable. It means the time travel is not applicable for this particular table. It is not applicable. Now let's see how exactly this time travel is going to work based on this retention period. Now which schema we are in? My schema we are in. Now this my schema is having retention period of 30 days. If I create, sorry, around 45 days. If I create any table by default, that will have by default 45 days. Now let me create a table and observe what exactly we are doing here. Based on that, we are going to work with the time travel implementation. Now let's create a table here. I will use sorry, let me create a table. Creating a table here. employees new. The table name is employees new with employee ID, salary, and then manager ID. We created a table. So what is the retention period for this table? It will come, it will be 45 days by default. Okay. Now assume we have done this in day one. Day one we did it. In the day one, if you use select star from table, what you observed in the day one, you can able to see only the table structure, right? No data, no data in the day one, but structure is created. Structure is created in the day one. Clear. Now assume now we are in day two. We are in day two. Based on this, we will see how this time travel is going to work. Now we are in day two. We are going to insert some values into the table in day two. Observe. Now we are inserting these three values, three rows. Now observe, this is day two we have done. Now day two, when you done this, if we execute the data in the day two, let's assume day two. If you check what you can see, we can see three rows here, right? In the day two, I have three rows inserted. Now again, let's assume we are in day three. In day three, what we will do is I wanted to update the salary for that particular employee ID. Now observe this, update table name. Now I want to update the salary. Set salary equal to 99, where employee ID equal to, we have 3. Okay. For this particular employee ID, we are updating the salary from this 30,000 salary to all nines. Now observe, this is we are doing in day 3. It is updated. Now day 3, if you check the data, what you can see, same 3 rows will be available. Same 3 rows is available. But what happened here? 3 rows, but salary is updated. Salary is updated in the day 3. Now let's assume we are in day 4. For what I am doing is I am trying to delete from table, where observe this employee ID, where employee ID equal to 8. I am deleting this one row from the table. This is in day 4, guys. Day 4, once it is done, then what you can able to see, so this is deleted. Now if I check the data, this is two rows we have, and one is deleted. This is the final data. Now let's come to day 5. Let's assume today we are in. Now again what we will do is we will insert 2 more rows in the day 5. We'll insert some values. I will change, and 6 6. Observe this, we have inserted. Now if you check the data here, what you can see, what you are observing here, we have 4 rows totally. How many we have? 4 rows. Now from the day one, what all the things happen? In the day one, just we created a structure. Day two, just we inserted 3 rows. And then day three, we have updated 1 row. Salary is updated. Day four, we deleted 1 row. Day five, we have inserted again 2 rows. Now finally, in the table, I can see this data. This is the final data in the table, right? This is our final data in the table. Now our requirement is, I want to go back and then check what exactly is available in day 2, or 2 days before. I wanted to go and then check what exactly is available in the table. Now if I query the data in the table, I am getting these details, right? But I want to know 5 minutes before what is the data available in the table. You are going back 5 minutes before. At that 5 minutes before exactly, you are taking the snapshot information. At that particular time, what exactly is available, we wanted to know. That is snapshot information. This concept, we will call it as a time travel. When it is coming to the days, you can go up to 90 days if it is a permanent table. You can check within that period, you can go back and then check your history. Let's assume 90 days before your table is created. Now you can able to go back and then check at that particular time, 90 days before, 3 months before, what exactly is available at that particular table. After that, you may have n number of changes. The table is created 1 week before. After that, every day that changes is happening. Now you can see what you can see in the table now. You can see your final data. But what is our requirement? You wanted to go back and then check at that specific particular day how the data is available, right? That concept, we will call it as a time travel. This time travel depends on how many days retention period we have. Those many days only we can do. You can go back up to how many days of the retention period you are having for that particular table. Now here, observe this, there is 3 different concepts to implement time travel. This is your certification questions. One is offset method. Offset method, when you will use is near time. It means 2 minutes before, 10 minutes before, half an hour before I wanted to check within a day. Then this is the best option. Offset is the best option. You can check with the help of offset the near time period. When you are specifying offset method, always you need to mention in the time period in the form of seconds. Remember this. In the form of seconds, so we have to mention. Now let's observe this here. When you are using offset, we have to use this command, select star from table. We will use offset method at, see this, select star from table. What is the table name? This is the employees new is the table at offset. Offset, This is the symbol of the timestamp. This is symbol somewhere we are going to use when we are using time travel, when we are using some of the commands when creating like masking policies. We will use this symbol. Don't get confused here. That is a equal symbol here. Offset means here we are specifying minus 60 minus multiplied by 5 minus. Why you are specifying minus? Because we are going back. We need 5 minutes before data. Here 5 minutes multiplied by 60, that is nothing but 300 seconds, because we need to specify in the form of seconds. It means the command meaning is 5 minutes before what is the data available at this particular table. At, observe this, at 5 minutes before. It means exactly 600 seconds before what is the data available in this particular table, we will get the information. See this? This is the data which it is available 5 minutes before. Let's observe 7 minutes before what is the data available. What you can see? See this one? 7 minutes before in this if you execute the select star from this particular table, you can see all the 4 rows. But here, what you are getting only, sorry, 2 rows, because you are checking 7 minutes before what is available. Now let's observe 8 minutes before what exactly the data is available. See this? What you observed here? 8 minutes before, we can see 3 rows here, right? The same way, let's observe 10 minutes before what is the data available. See this? 10 minutes before. Now let's come to 12 minutes before. Observe what you can see. 12 minutes before, the table is created, but there is no data in this particular table. Now if I go and then if I see 13 minutes before, what you can see is, see this? Table itself is not created. Time travel will start from the object creation onwards, right? When the object itself it is not available, then from where it will get the time travel, right? The time travel is applicable after the object creation. From that time, so it is going to capture. So what will happen is, how it is getting the data means, as we like said, it is from the backend, from the storage layer. When we are discussing about the partitions, we will see that based on every execution what is happening here, it is, for example, when you are inserting, when you are updating, when you are deleting, whatever it may be, new partitions will be created based on that particular timestamp in the backend. When you are specifying this time travel future, it will go exactly for that particular time, and from there it will pick the information. Now if you see the data here, you can see all the 4 rows in this particular table. But what you are going to check here, you are going to check what exactly available at the any specific period of time, right? At that particular period of time, that is nothing but a snapshot information at that particular period of time. This is one method by using offset. Nearest period of time, then we can use offset. We need to specify in the form of seconds only. Remember this. Okay. Now another method is, we are going to use query ID method. By using query ID, we can get it. It means before exact query, you wanted to know before exact query execution. Before the query execution, it means Before the query execution means, for example, here we have done the update statement, right? We have executed the update statement. We executed the delete statement. Before the delete executed, I wanted to check what is available in the table. Before that update executed, I wanted to check what is the data available in the table. Like this, based on the query execution, this is before. Before that query execution, what is the data available in the table? If I wanted to see, then we can use this query ID method. From where you will get these query IDs? Whatever the queries we are executing here, all the queries will be available in our query history tab. Every query will be unique. Every query will be unique. For example, let's observe here. Let me show you monitoring. Just 1 second. Observe this. In the monitor, I can see in the query history all the queries whatever I am executing. Every query will have query ID. See this? Always remember this query ID is unique. It will not be duplicated. Every query ID is unique. Whenever you are executing query, if I execute same query also again one more time, same query ID will not be the same. Query ID will be unique. Every query, see this here. Here if you see, select star from table I executed. What is the query ID? Last 4 digits you can observe, right? This one, observe the last 4 digits. The same query, observe this. Query ID is unique for the every execution. Now what we wanted to check here, I wanted to check before the delete statement what is available. This is the delete statement. This is the delete statement query ID, right? So before that particular delete, what exactly is available I wanted to check. Or I wanted to check before that update. See this one? This is the update statement what you have executed. Before this update statement, I wanted to see what exactly the data is available. Then copy this query ID. What we will do is this query ID we are going to give in our query. The query will be, see this, select star from table. We are going to use before. This is the table. We are going to use before. Here we will see statement. Some places we will call it as a statement. Some places we will call it as a job ID or query ID. Don't get confused. All are same. Now observe this one. What you are specifying. Select star from table before statement. This is the query ID. We need to execute the query ID. Observe this one. What you will get. After updated, we have all the nines, right? For this particular ID3. Now, before that update, see this exactly what you can able to see. This is what you are seeing before update statement. Clear, right? So like that, any specific statement before, if I wanted to go back and then check, we can see that. This is one way. Another option is we have timestamp method. This is for longer period. For example, exact timestamp I wanted to see 1 week before. Exact time I wanted to see for 20 days before or 30 days before, up to 90 days. We can able to go back and then we can check the information by using timestamp method. When we are using timestamp, we need to specify that in a time format. Observe this. What we need to do is first we need to set this current timestamp to the UTC time zone. This is required. required here, but when you're working in project it will not be required because already it will be set up to the specific time zone. Now this is the current timestamp. Observe this one. This is the current timestamp. Now after changing this current timestamp to UTC, see this, alter session, set session time zone. Time zone we are setting up to UTC. Now when you set up this to UTC, again when I execute, see the timestamp. This is the timestamp now. See this has been changed to UTC time zone. Now based on this, we wanted to get the data for any specific period of time. Here if you observe, this is year, this is month, this is day, after that hours, minutes, seconds, milliseconds. This is the timestamp. You have to specify. Now observe the timestamp method, how we can do that. We are going to use select star from table. What is the table name here? This is the table name. I need to specify this. Observe this one. I copied this one from here to here. Timestamp. This is the syntax. Now, before this particular timestamp, what exactly is available, it will give. See this one. Now, this is the current. This is the current timestamp. Now, I will change. This is 3 hours 15 minutes, right? Now, I will go to 3 hours. See this, what you can see. Now I will go to 2 hours 50 minutes at that particular time, before at this time. Observe this, the table itself, it is not available. I will go to 2 hours 55. Now see this, table is created, right? At that time the table is created. Now let me change it to 57. Observe what you can see. You can see the data. Today we created, that's why we are changing this minutes here. Now if the table is created like 10 days before or 30 days before, then we wanted to check before 20 days what exactly you want. Then you can change the date, you can change the month also if it is required. So based on that, so you can able to get the information for that particular timestamp, right? At that particular time, before at this particular time, what is available, you can able to go back and then check. What is the advantage here? What is the purpose of this? You can, one thing is, by mistake anything has been done wrong, you will have an option to go back and then check and then validations. And then if you wanted to revert it back, the changes, you can able to do that. And at the same time, for the comparison, it is very useful. So if you want now what exactly is available, I wanted to compare. If you wanted to create a table at that particular time, for example, what you can do is, see this, create table. I will use, sorry, create table as, see this, I will give at this particular time period. Then what I will have, the new table will be created. This command new table will be created with this at this particular time. Now if you see, you will have a restore table with this particular same data. This is old data at that particular period of time. Now this is new data. You can compare the both the tables. What is the difference here? What exactly is happening, right? So if you wanted to go back and then restore that data, yes, we can able to do that. And at the same time, here, right, based on by default, what is the retention period? 1 day retention period, right? By default is 1 day retention period. Within 1 day, by mistake you dropped something, but in your environment, when you are working in a project, you won't have the permissions. But if by mistake if it is done, this the future is available. Now let's observe this. By mistake I have dropped drop database. I'm going to drop class underscore trans database. See this, class underscore trans database I am dropping. Database is dropped. See this, database is dropped. Now I am going to drop schema. We will drop this one, new schema. Sorry, new underscore sch. We are dropping new schema. Schema also it is going to, it's dropped. Now from this we will drop one table. Drop table. We dropped my underscore table. Now we drop the table. Observe this. By mistake you have done this. All the things like a table has been dropped, one schema has been dropped, one database has been dropped. Now what is the default retention period for all these things? By default is 1 day, right? So what I am trying to tell is here, if within the retention period, if you observe this has been dropped, within the retention period, you can able to undrop it. You can able to undrop. In other databases, once it is dropped, it is gone. You cannot able to get it back. But here, observe this one. You have to use undrop database, undrop database, database name. Observe this, what will happen? Database successfully restored. The same way, we will use undrop schema name. Observe this, schema also successfully restored. Now we will restore the table also. Undrop table, table name. See this, again we received it. It has been restored. Now observe, table, my table, we got it back. My schema, got it back. New schema got, we received it. It has been restored. Database, it has been restored. Right? This will happen within the retention period only. If the retention period is 0, then you cannot able to get it back. It is not possible. For example, I have dropped today. I wanted to get it back after 1 day. There is no retention period. Then that is not possible. That's the reason by default retention period is 1 day for all the objects. Within 1 day, if anything happens, then you can able to restore it back. So these are the time travel methods. So we are going to use. So remember, one is offset method, another one is query ID method, another one is timestamp method. To retrieve the data for any specific period of time, we are going to check historical data, or we can say that as a snapshot information at that particular period of time, what is available before that particular period of time, before that particular query execution, before that particular timestamp, what exactly the data is available, we can able to see by using the time travel. So this is the future, so which it is not available in any of the so cloud platform. They didn't configure. This is the future which available in Snowflake. So now the other like Redshift and then Azure Synapse also, they are trying to implement the same future, but this is the first. It is available in our Snowflake with the help of time travel. Okay, the mechanism of this is storage because of how the data is storing in Snowflake because of the micro partitions. We will discuss that in the coming sessions. When we are discussing about the micro partitions, we will see in depth. Let's come to the questions here. You can see some of the questions. Let me go one by one. If the retention period of the schema is previous provided 50 days, can you create a table within the schema retention period? Yes, that is possible. So that's that we saw that, right? Because of
Yes.
everything is a individual level. Okay.
Okay.
Once the retention period is modified, table schema modified will take new count. Like internally, my retention period is 10 days. On the fifth day, I have changed it to 20 days. New retention periods will start with day one. Change it to 20 days. 5 days increase it by 15 days. Yeah, I understand your question, Monica. What will happen is here, for example, let's assume your table retention period is initially you created for 10 days. It means, so from like today to last 10 days, right? It means, for example, let's assume 30 days before you created a table. What retention period will do? If you specify 5 days, from today to 5 days before data, you can check. If you specify 20 days, what will happen? For that 5 days, extra 10 days will be added, right? And for example, if you specify like 6 days, for the existing 5 days, 1 day will be added back. Okay, that's how. So this retention period is going to modified. You can able to do that.
I mean, 20 here in this example, a new 20 days will not be created, right? Extra 15 days will be created. Is that correct?
Exactly. Already we have 5 days plus 15 days will be there.
All right.
Okay.
And initially, if I create for the normal schema and the tables, default is one, and maximum we
Mm,
can set to 90 days, right, Dinesh?
correct.
So initially, I have set to 90 days. And then
Hmm.
on 89th day, can I go and set for 90 more days?
No, not possible.
Not possible.
Maximum
So
it is
only
90
one day.
days only.
Okay.
Mm, mm, mm. Right.
Thank you.
What happened if you reduce the DB schema retention 10 from 20, but tables are not changed? Yeah, this mechanism, Sridhar, what will happen is individually it is going to store the partitions in the backend. This is individual based on all the objects are individual. Schema level is individual, table level is individual, database level is individual. That's the reason if you change the schema level or database level retention period, if the table is inherited from those, then there is a change. If it is not inherited, so then there is no change. So it is going to based on the partition mechanism, it will work. I will show you that how the
Yeah, I
things
got
will
it.
happen.
Yeah, I got
Yeah.
it. But if in case if I drop a schema at database,
Mm. Okay.
so in that case, if I want to access the table data, okay, so if
How many
I drop
days
the
retention period is there? Those many days you can able to get it back.
okay,
If you drop also, based on the retention period, you can able to get it back. For
okay,
example, today I dropped the database. Now that my database retention period is 30 days. Within 30 days, you can able to retrieve the data from the table with the help of time travel option.
okay. Thank
Not in the minutes, Monica, it is in the second format. Okay. So if you observe here, I have given minus 60 multiplied by 10. 10 is minutes, 60 is seconds. So then this will be 600 seconds, right? Here this is a multiplied symbol. 60 I have given. Always you have to give in the form of seconds only. Okay. retention period 0 means there is no one day also it is not. By default it is one day. If you set up to 0 means there is no time travel option for that particular table. You cannot able to get the previous, I mean you cannot go and then check the previous data. You can check always the existing table data, that's it. You cannot, time travel is not applicable. You don't want to, you cannot able to check 2 minutes before what is there, 5 minutes before what is there. That is not possible if you set the retention period to 0. Okay, any other questions?
Database maintains 90 days for permanent table, but whatever the return period we set, based on that only will,
Mm,
but right? Like even if you
yes,
after later first initially we set for 10 days, after 20 days means again the 10 days only it will keep, and if you set it for 20 days again, how will pull the 20 days data? Because it has to maintain 90 days always. But when we are pulling that only, if it is giving that result, that time only it will charge it for that the day period, right?
ex- exactly, exactly.
But what I mean, how does the Snowflake will benefit? Because anyhow, that it is storing that all the information for 90 days, right? Like,
No, no, it won't store anyway. It is for 90 days. Based on how many days you are going to specify, those many days only it will specify. For example, today you said that I want only up to 5 days. Okay, then this retention period will set to 5 days. Now, on the next month, let's assume. So you assume that okay, I want retention period more than like a 5 days. Then you have added 5 extra days. Okay, when you have added next month at that particular time, from that time onwards, it is going to keep the additional 5 days also from that particular point of time.
okay, from
Immediately
that
you set up
time, whatever the tables are created, it will maintain those things. But old
exactly.
tables, it will be okay.
Yeah, got it right. Please practice these things so 1 or 2 times, then you will understand very clearly. Any other questions?
Dinesh, one question.
Yes,
So can
Manoj.
we set the constraints here on the in the tables for Snowflake?
Yeah, possible, Manoj. We will see that also. We can set
Okay.
up all the constraint, but only the thing is it will not enforce primary key, unique. It will not enforce only one constraint. It will be enforced. That is not null constraint. We will see that.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Uh,
guys.
is there any cost related to time
Mhm.
travel after
Yeah,
90 days?
definitely. Definitely, Ankita, it will be cost related is more. That's why we will not always suggest to implement the retention period. So, like for the permanent tables, okay, when only we will do this whenever it is required, then only we will set up this retention period. Because retention period means indirectly from where it is going to fetch the information for the previous
Mm-hmm.
things. It will from always from the
Yeah,
storage. The storage cost will be
yeah.
increased if you set up this retention period. That's why if it is really required, then only we will go to that. So always in the
Oh,
development and test environment, we won't do this. So mostly in the production environment, we will do it.
okay. And one more thing, for transient table also only
Mm,
one day,
one day,
uh,
maximum one day, not more than that.
maximum one day.
Mm,
Okay, okay. Thank you.
okay. Okay, guys. Thank you. See you on Monday. Happy weekend, guys. Bye.